Interview and job search strategies at work. This is episode 15 of the podcast. Today I'd like to talk to you, it's entitled As a Company Gets Larger, its competencies go down. So just imagine you have a large company. There's a lot of management, there's a lot of just a lot of stuff, right? Busy work, So what my point is, when you hire or when you interview for a job, research how big is it? Is it a 1,000-person company? Is it a 100-person company? Is it a 50-person company? As you'll see it, if you're very technical and you're very good at what you do, and you can wear many hats, meaning you have a broad a base of knowledge, then probably your ideal company you want to work for, try to get on really, is a company that's smaller, maybe under 100 people, if you can. And you'll know that by, of course, researching the company. But if your expertise is, say, in one skill set, that is, or for that matter, if you have a degree and your degree, it's supposedly, I've talked to recruiters and I've interviewed for a lot of companies that say, okay, do you have a degree? There's usually the larger companies want a degree because for some reason that's what they believe. Okay, you have a degree, so it's almost like IBMer. I don't know if you've ever watched any of the YouTube stuff on IBM. Back in the day, they had like a dress code for the company where they're very strict, and you have to meet certain criteria, and you have to be dressed properly, and even go further back than that. In the 60s, gosh, there was a company that, what's his name? Bob Noyce, Robert Noyce used to work for. I forget the name of it off the top of my head, but he worked for that company, and that company I know it was out of the East Coast. It was like in the 50s, early 50s. Anyway, based on your level of management in the company, distinguished how much, what the color of furniture you had in your office, what type of furniture you had in your office. So, oddly enough, right? That's just how some companies are. But the point of this discussion it's just my 2 cents, basically. A company, gets larger, you're gonna get lost in the woods. You're gonna get lost in the weeds, if you will. So what I'm saying is you're gonna have less influence on the company. You're gonna have less. They already know what they're doing. You're just another. You're the cog in the wheel. And so if you're looking to move up, you may not move up as fast as if you go into a smaller company. You may have to raises. You may get raises a lot less frequently, in a large company than you would in a smaller company, because you're not going to get noticed as much. It's just too much management between you and the top people, right? And they've been there. Most likely, they've been there a while, and they don't want you stepping on their turf. Basically, they don't want you getting in their way. They're there. Hey, that's the company. They're looking for that 20-year retirement or whatever it is. Large company, a lot of people, a lot of business. They have a lot of growth. So, of course, I could be. You could love it. You could be wrong. Could have a large company and you could do well. They could treat you like you're just the 50-person company. That's really the key right there. If you ever become a manager or a leader, if you will, actually, is to treat your people, treat your people as if you know all their names. You care for them. You try to promote them. You try to get them to where you're at, right? That's the whole key. Get them where you're at. If you have that focus as a leader, you're going to do well. Okay. So that's really it right there. Just I guess what I'm saying is the other thing I'll hit on is everybody knows who Ford Motor Company is. Everybody knows who Rolls Royce is, the companies. So their business model, or I guess their motive, or what do they call that? I don't know, whatever. Anyway, what they do is they it's long and wide, or no, short and wide. So you work there, you're a union worker on Ford. Sometimes, some places you're a union, some places you're not, but for the most part, I think you're a union worker, and you do one specific job. That little piece, you put on a tire on a car, you put on the steering wheel on the car, you put on the hood of a car, you put in the motor, right? You do one piece of that. And so your pay is accordingly. For instance, it might be 10 folks that put together a car, let's say, right? And I think their pay, let's say it's like $20 or $30 an hour, right? That's $300 per hour to that person to put on that, at the company expense, right? And they make one car an hour, let's say, or however much they make, so that's $300 for that car, basically. I mean, their price of materials or whatever, but the staffing costs for that, probably like $300. It's a rough estimate. Whereas like a Rolls Royce, same thing. You have 10 people. You might have 2 or 3 people maybe working on a car. Let's say 2 people working on a car, putting it together. That precision, that detail about that car, how they put it together, the care they take in putting it together. And they obviously are going to get charged or get paid a lot more because they're how they do things is very specific, or they put a lot of care into it. Yeah. So that's that thing right there. Yeah. So yeah, basically that. Like if you see a company, and you'll know it right off the bat when you apply there. That you'll usually see it in the job post. You can look on their company profile and they'll say like 1,000 people or something like that. And then you look at how many offices they have, right? And then maybe you can look at on like Indeed or salary.com, look at what the reviews are about the company. If the cons are like a lot of management, like pros are good money, but cons are management. Warning, because you don't want to leave a job that you're at now that you're just going to walk into and it's got a bunch of problems. You're just wasting your time basically, unless the skill set is so unique. Or you could also think of it this way: when you go into a job, take from them, right? Take their knowledge. When you go to a job, spend the extra time there, taking the resources, reading their articles. A lot of them have an interweb or a like a portal or a company site, basically, that they have all of their knowledge there. So take that time to like just absorb that knowledge. Take from them, take their knowledge. Take that knowledge that you have there. If you're only planning on working there 3 months or a month or whatever it is, take as much as you can from them, right? Take as much knowledge as possible from them, and then just apply it to your next job. Don't just do like the bare minimum. Okay, I'm showing up to work. This is just pays the bills or whatever. Really just absorb from them. And just do your own thing. Do the extra work. Come in an extra hour early to just learn. Maybe they have like a Salesforce site. Maybe they have a SharePoint site, and you want to learn SharePoint. So maybe you go in and you look at their SharePoint site, how it's made, and then you go home and say, oh yeah, okay, and you make the same thing. You go to you draw it out, right, and then you go home and make something similar. If you like it, if you like what they do, and So what I'm saying is it gives you you get ideas from it. Like whenever you go to your next job, you'll have a working idea that works. You'll have something that works already because you've put up this SharePoint site or this website, WordPress site or wherever it is that your company has, and you've just taken the same kind of how it looks and the layout, and you've duplicated it somewhere else on your home lab, or maybe you bought a SharePoint site yourself. Maybe you bought a WordPress site. WordPress is free, by the way, and so you don't have to think about an idea. You just duplicate what they have. Obviously, don't do anything you'll get you in trouble. But no, don't take their intellectual property from them and migrate over. Don't do that, of course. No, don't do that. That nothing. I'm not talking about anything like that. I'm talking about just duplicating what you see there, in a way. Maybe, for instance, there's a folder name, a SharePoint site, and a sub-site. Maybe it's like, at the company side, it's like the company name, right? And then your SharePoint site, you name it something else, totally different. And then you can demonstrate that ability to your future employer. So, yeah, very good, very good. Okay, well, appreciate everybody listening to this podcast, and have a great